Injecting the canine and feline hip, the animal's in lateral recumbency, and our landmark is a graded trochanter. There's two ways to find a graded trochanter. One is using the flat of your hand. You can palpate along the femur proximally until you find a bony prominence. The other way is a caudal approach. So lateral to the anus is a tubericium. If you follow that cranial, there'll be a depression. You go further cranial, you're going to rise up in a bony prominence. That's your graded trochanter. I like to put several fingertips on the graded trochanter and I walk them until my index finger falls off. Sometimes it can be difficult to find the end of the graded trochanter, not only because an animal can be obese, but the soft tissues can actually become fibrotic when there's chronic pathology. In order to help you palpate the end of this, it can help to have your assistant gently raise and lower, that is, abduct and adduct the limb. When I've found the end of it, I will again have the technician gently lower the leg and put some traction to help open the joint space. And with my finger off of the end of the graded trochanter, I'm going to come in with my needle and right in the middle of my fingertip. And I'm going to keep it along this two-dimensional plane that's created by the graded trochanter, because I see that graded trochanter is actually pointing right at the joint space. If I fall into the joint, great. But if I don't, I'm going to walk towards the graded trochanter. The reason for that is, if I was up here and I walked cranial or caudal, I may never come across the joint space. Similarly, if I first walk dorsal, I may actually fall off the acetabulum and it will feel as though I'm falling into the joint space. So again, always walk towards first the graded trochanter. Two things that can help in the joints, open the joint space in the hip. The first thing to notice though is the joint space starts on the acetabular rim and it goes to the edge of the cartilage. So with the femur roughly perpendicular to your table, this animal would have about a half a centimeter space to hit. Just by lowering the stifle towards the table, you can see how much space is opened up. All of a sudden, we've pretty much doubled that space, if not more. The other thing a technician can do is put gentle traction on the stifle, and you can actually distract that from the hip a little bit. In an awake animal, you won't be able to do this, but in a heavily sedate or anesthetized animal, you can. When you're injecting the joint, if you fall down here, you'll feel that pop going in, and you're more likely to get fluid because gravity's pulled the synovial fluid deep into the joint. That's the good news. The bad news is that's weight-bearing cartilage, so you're more likely to do harm. If you are up here, this is in the joint space. That's articular cartilage. However, it's non-weight-bearing cartilage, so we're less likely to do harm. The problem is you're not going to feel the pop going here, and you're less likely to get synovial fluid. So up here is, in my opinion, a better way to get into the joint. Unfortunately, you're going to have ultrasound to know that's where you are.